Hello and welcome to this video, which is going to show you 21 footballisms, British footballisms. Although saying that some of them will be used elsewhere in the world, English-speaking world, Americans might use it as well. And you may have noticed that I actually posted these 21 footballisms on my Learn Breezy English Instagram and Facebook page last week. It was just before the kickoff of the Euro final, which happened last Sunday, and it didn't go our way. That's life. It was close, England got close, but penalties, it can go either way, and our lads did terrific throughout the competition, so well done, boys. Really proud of you all, and we're getting closer to winning something. So hopefully in Qatar, in just 18 months, that World Cup, we've basically got one hand on the World Cup, right? So let's look at these 21 footballisms. But before I get to it, first I'd love to ask you a quick favour. If you do like this video, please do tap the like button, and I'd love you to subscribe as well. So tap the subscribe button, share it. Why not share it? And if you want to be notified every time a new video goes on YouTube, then hit that bell button. All right, so let's have a look at those footballisms. So here are the 21 footballisms. This is the first picture, which I sent out on my feed with 6. So I did it before the final last week and made it themed on that game. So the names of the players are from that game. Although the first one, Pessina, he didn't play. He wasn't in the starting 11. I'm not sure if he came on. But Pessina hoofs the ball upfield. Hoofs the ball upfield. Now, you may not know what that means. What does it sound like it means? Well, it's basically when you kick the ball hard and high and without precision. So you just hoof it up the field. It's like clearing it as well. That's sometimes used. Clear the ball. Get it out of danger when you're in defence. Second one. Now, Kane, the mighty Kane. He thumps it into the roof of the net. What do you think that means? Well, when you thump something, you hit the ball forcefully. So obviously the many goals like that. We love a goal that's thumped into the net. Recently, you may have seen replays of England when we beat the Netherlands in 1996. I know some of you weren't born then, but I remember it well. It was a wonderful moment in England, in the games of the English football team. It's one of the best that I've ever seen. So we beat Netherlands 4-1. And the best goal is when Shearer scores his second, and lovely little ball from Gaza to Sheringham. Sheringham lays it off, and Shearer thumps it into the roof of the net. Some people say he sliced it. He didn't. He knew what he was doing. All right, number 3, the gaffer, Mancini, losing his rag. Now, the gaffer, you may guess from this line, is a nickname given to the boss, the manager of the team. So, it can be the gaffer, sometimes the governor. But yeah, that is often used. It's quite... They probably wouldn't use gaffer. I don't think an Italian team would call Mancini gaffer. Obviously, they're Italian, so they wouldn't use that word. But if they did, they've probably got like a Italian word which means the same thing. But some managers would accept it, some wouldn't. I don't think Gareth Southgate would accept gaffer. A little bit too disrespectful in a way. Maybe like a Sunday league side, you could call them gaffer. Alright, so that's 3. 4, a super give and go from Sterling. Give and go. Now, it kind of makes sense. What it is like a 1-2. So when a player passes it to another player and that player passes it straight back. So sometimes they do it like around an opponent, a 1-2 or a give and go, and it's lovely when they pull it off. Now here 5 and 6, we have 2 here. So England must keep it tight early doors. Now, keep it tight. What do you think that means? If I was to add keep it tight in defence, which is often said, it's just about having that order, keeping the space between each defender not too far apart, because if you do, that leaves a big gap for the opposing player to get through the gap and into a scoring position. So this is often said, keep it tight at the back. Don't let in any early goals, which I may add, England, we only let in 2 through the whole tournament. So we're getting better, Early doors. What do you think early doors means? Well, it means early in the game. That's often used, could be used for anything. Sometimes it's used for when a pub opens early doors. We're opening early doors. That they might open at, well, in fact, Wetherspoons. We have a pub called Wetherspoons in England. That they open like 7 a.m. So I think that's a little bit early for a pub, but that's what they do, and they're successful. So who am I to say it's not the right thing to do? All right, so let's move on to 7. Immobile was a mile offside. I mean, I guess you can probably work out what that means. Offside, obviously, when the player is given the ball, past the ball, and he's like the last person, he's beyond the last defender. So it's like a free kick for the other team. So a mile offside means he was a long way offside. There's a big gap between him and the defender. Whereas Chiesa was offside by a whisker. So that means a very minimal amount. And I'm sure if you have been watching football last season with VAR, there have been some ridiculous decisions where it was literally a whisker. You could hardly tell that they were offside, but video evidence says that they were. So I'm sure your team, if you are in England, would have seen that and come off the wrong side of it, as we were. I'm a Crystal Palace fan, and we had a few decisions not go our way, but we also had lots that did go our way. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. All right, 9. Maguire is unplayable today. Unplayable. This word has come in recently, probably in the last couple of seasons, and it just means the player is playing so exceptionally well that the opposition cannot compete against them. It's similar to being untouchable. 10. Kane again, believe it or not, he has scored a screamer. What's a screamer? Well, I'm sure you can figure what a screamer is, but why is it called a screamer? It's obviously another, like a thumping goal. It's normally from a long distance, so maybe from outside the box, and it's just screamed into the net, and the sound of a scream is like the sound the ball makes. It doesn't literally make it, but it's kind of imaginary that it makes that noise. All right, 11. Italy playing it out from the back. So you may have heard this before. What does that mean, playing it out from the back? It just means, you know, from the keeper, because this is the way it's done these days for a lot of teams, lots of good teams who can do this, where the keeper plays to a defender, defender plays to another defender, short passes, you know, to the midfield. So it's not like thumping the ball or hoofing the ball upfield, long ball. It's these short passes from the keeper. Next section, all right. 12. Bonucci is throwing a wobbly. What does that mean? Well, it means when somebody loses control of their emotions. It's when somebody gets hot-headed. You may have heard that as well. So often, you know, they get carded, probably get a yellow card or even a red if they throw wobbly, especially if it's at the referee. 13, mount, playing in the hole. Playing in the hole. What does that mean? Well, it just means when a player exploits the gap between the opposition's midfield and defence. So they're just in that pocket. They're saying in that pocket, just beyond them. So in that space, playing in the hole. Jorginho is Italy's water carrier. So water carrier, it's normally a central midfielder, as Jorginho is, and they work hard for the team, while letting the more creative players, indulge in attack. So that's what Jorginho does, and one of the highlights was when Jorginho's penalty was saved by Pickford, and then the reality of us going out happened very quickly after. But it was a high point momentarily. 15, Phillips's work rate is terrific. Week in, week out. Now, week in, week out means it's something they are always doing. They're consistent. They're a consistent player, and every time they play, their work rate is terrific, which is true for Phillips. 16, Stones had him in his pocket. So if you've got someone in your pocket, you've got control over them. He's obviously a defender, Stones, so Immobile, let's say the Italian attacker, if he wasn't given any space by Stones, Stones was marking him tightly, you could say that Stones had him in his pocket. 17, Walker has run his socks off today. Run his socks off. What does that mean? Well, it basically means they've tried very hard for the team. They've obviously ran a lot for the team, and this is quite true for Walker. He was one of our best players, Kyle Walker. He's a really fast guy, and he just played terrifically throughout the whole tournament. He actually started off poorly. I remember in the first game he had a terrible 50 minutes, and I did say, get him out, sub him. But that's why I'm not a manager. So, 18, Chiellini is carrying a knock. Carrying a knock. What does that mean? Well, they've got a slight injury. They can still play, but they're not 100% fit. They've maybe 50% fit, but they can still play. But they're carrying a little injury, carrying a knock. All right, 19, Locatelli has missed a sitter. Missed a sitter. What does that mean? Well, it means they've missed a chance on goal that was really easy to score. We've all seen it. Players missing from 5 yards, open net. They've missed a sitter. 20, remarkable bounce back ability from Shaw. So, bounce back ability, what do you think that means? Now, of course, that's not a real word. This is a word that was made up by Ian Dowie. Ian Dowie is a manager. I don't know if he manages anymore, I don't think so. But he used to manage, and he managed Crystal Palace. And he actually said this when he was the Palace manager. And it just means when you have the ability to bounce back from a disappointment or a difficult situation. So lots of examples. Well, I'll tell you what, a great example, Denmark in the Euros was proper bounce back ability. Obviously the first game, Christian Eriksen had a cardiac arrest, one of the worst things I've ever seen, and I'm sure if you saw it you would feel the same way. But Denmark bounced back. They showed bounce back ability because they reached the semi-final where they were beaten by England. But still, they did unbelievably well. They bounced back. All right, last but not least, 21. Insigne is simply goal hanging. What's goal hanging? Well, it just means when you've got a player that stays around the goal all the time, doesn't do much else. There's also another phrase that we use for players like this, a fox in the box. So that's quite a good thing. Goal hanging's not good. Unless you're a goal hanger and you score goals, I mean, that's the main objective of a goal scorer. But yeah, fox in the box, that's quite a positive term for a player because they're always in the box and often they score. So let me know in the comments what you think of those footballisms. Also, let me know other footballisms because, of course, there's more than 21. There may be ones in your country, English-speaking country, that you want to share with us. So then there's going to be ones in America or in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, wherever. Do share them in the comments below. And then before I go, do tap that like button if you haven't done already. Subscribe, share, bell. Why not hit the bell as well? And that will be fantastic. And I will be back soon with some more videos, and Spammer Grammar Edition 2 is coming your way soon.